Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the head of state presides over the work of the Council of the Ministers. President Gille takes part in the second editions of the African Forum on Peace and Development. For the international scene, launch of the vaccination campaign in Ivory Coast. Welcome to our newsroom. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, President of the Republic, Head of Government, the sixth sessions of the Council of Ministers took place this Tuesday, 2 March 2021. At the beginning of the session, the Minister of the Interior made a statement on the forthcoming presidential elections of 9 April 2021 and in particular on the withdrawal of electoral cards which began on 25 February 2021. He indicated that the electoral cards are available in all the distribution centers at the level of the prefecture of the capital and the regions.
Présidence du chef de l'État, son Excellence M. Ismail Omar Guelleh, s'est tenue la sixième séance du Conseil des ministres en ce mardi 2 mars 2021. Était inscrite à l'ordre du jour.
The first question concerns a bill amending and supplementing Act Number 33 of 2013, 7th Legislature regulating the import, storage, and transport of hydrocarbons. Our country has become a logistic or transit platform where a volume of hydrocarbons destined for neighboring countries and the rest of the world transits. The installation of a refinery in Djibouti is becoming a necessity nowadays in order to meet the growing demand for products with energy value in the region. This is fully in line with the government's policy aimed at establishing a synergy promoting large investments profitable to the whole country. The establishment of a legal framework to regulate the refining sector in the processing of crude oil, the distribution and export of products from refining is essential to create an environment conducive to the development of this industrial activity. The second question relates to a draft decree on the organization and operation of the National Museum of Djibouti. The museum is located on the site of the former Djibouti railway station. Our country is therefore planning to set up a national museum through the implementation of several steps and in particular the realization of various study missions carried out by competent experts. The museum is in charge of the conservation and protection of collections representative of the arts and the heritage of Djibouti. It will be an urban center of welcome, relaxation, and a high place for the development of cultural and economic tourism in our country. The National Museum of Djibouti will have a regional vocation reflecting the cultural, natural, and maritime wealth of our country. At the organizational level, the National Museum of Djibouti is administered by a board of directors and headed by a director general, assisted by a deputy director general. Under the authority of the Director General, 6 technical services are in charge of coordinating and carrying out the museum's various activities. The Director General is assisted by a scientific committee with an advisory role, responsible for issuing opinions and recommendations for the promotion and enhancement of the national cultural heritage. The third question concerns a draft decree setting out the modalities of organization and functioning of the Al-Wasatiyya Institute and the Culture of Peace. This institute is included in the category of public administrative establishment for training and scientific research according to Law Number 56 on the legal realm of public administrative establishments. It is placed under the supervision of the Minister of Muslim Affairs, who controls and monitors its activities in accordance with the guidelines and objectives set by the government in religious matters. The main mission of the institute is to optimize the skills of the regionalist body through initial and continuing training that promotes a common culture of the regionalist body. It will develop studies and research aimed at promoting Djibouti as a beacon of peace and openness. As such, the institute defines the training realm and organizes conferences, debates, and forums of national and regional scope. The Al-Wasatiyya Institute and the Culture of Peace is administered by a board of directors and headed by a director general assisted by a deputy director general. Under the authority of the Director General, the Institute therefore comprises 6 technical departments to implement its training and research strategy. The first question concerns a draft decree establishing the conditions for the production, programming, and broadcasting of programs relating to the electoral campaign. The present decree is taken in application of Article 8 of the Organic Law number 96 of the year 2020, 8th Legislature, relating to political pluralism and during electoral campaigns, and modifying certain provisions of the Organic Law number 1 of 1992 relating to elections in the respect of the principle of equality and neutrality of the public service. The present decree specifies the modalities of registration, production, and programming, as well as the broadcasting of electoral campaign broadcasts by guaranteeing all candidates to political parties the same rights. Furthermore, in order to better inform citizens, the broadcasting of electoral campaign programs in all languages, both official and local, is imperative.
President Gelle takes part in the second editions of the African Forum on Peace and Development. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, on Monday took part in the second Aswan Forum on Peace and Development in Africa. The Aswan Forum, named after the Egyptian Syrian designated to host its proceedings, has the value of a platform for identifying strategy conducive to strengthening peace, stability, sustainable development in the continent. It was established on the initiative of the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, then head of the rotating presidency of the African Union. The main vocation of this forum is to provide an additional forum and exchanges discussion for Africa with a view to achieving more efficiency and rapid results in achieving its objectives defined for its political stability and economic integration. Is intervening in this form of video conference. The agenda of this second Aswan Forum was devoted to the COVID-19 crisis, precisely to risk of serious compromises that this pandemic may have on the health, social, of economic and security of the peoples of Africa. Intervening in the forums of video conference, the agenda of this second Aswan Forum was devoted to the COVID-19 crisis, precisely to the risks of serious compromises that this pandemic may have on the health, security, economic security of the peoples of Africa. That's why the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Gelle, took advantage of his intervention in this meeting to formulate a series of proposals that are likely to protect Africa from the negative consequences of this pandemic. The main vocations of this forum is to provide as an additional forum for exchanges and discussion for Africa. Listen to the head of state, Ismail Omar Gelle.
Président, Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement, Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est pour moi un réel plaisir de prendre part à ce forum.
A little over a year ago today, the world was facing the greatest health crisis it has seen in over a century. Africa, known for its vulnerability and the fragility of its health systems, has caused enormous concern and numerous studies of varying degrees of alarm. Fortunately, our continent has been relatively unscathed compared to the rest of the world. However, in the face of the resurgence of positive cases, it is clear that the battle is not yet won, as the economic consequences of uncontrolled upsurge would be catastrophic for us. We must, therefore, adapt to this new reality and this new normality in all areas of life, because nobody today is able to say when the aftermath will be. This pandemic, Mr. President, has unfortunately come at the time when Africa has begun to take off and has laid the foundations for its emergence. I am thinking of Agenda 2063, or the FTAA. That is why it is essential to combine our efforts to preserve our achievements, but also to start developing our economic recovery strategies today. During the COVID-19 pandemic, in my view, the recovery plan has 4 components: ensuring that Africa receives enough vaccines for its people. That is why we have been advocating for a universal and equitable vaccine from the very beginning. Continental management of the health crisis. The health systems of our countries have, in fact, shown resilience and resistance during this crisis. However, in the future, we will need to learn from our mistakes and capitalize on our ability to manage health emergencies by strengthening our capacities and by structuring our arrangements. Debt restructuring or debt cancellation. This would help African economics, especially the most fragile, to recover more quickly from the pandemic, as the payment of vaccines adds to the already high debt burden. This is why we must continue to negotiate with our donors with one voice. Finally, and I would like to dwell on this point, the strength and potential of our
Commencer
continent.
à élaborer nos stratégies de relance économique aujourd'hui même, pendant la pandémie du Covid-19.
With a view to achieving more efficient and rapid results in achieving its objectives defined for its political stability and economic integration. Listen once again to the head of state.
Cette crise est un réveil pour notre continent. Elle nous pousse à rompre.
This crisis is an awakening of our continent. It is a wake-up call for us to break with the past. With Africa of conflict, hunger, disease, and illegal migration, it forces us to make a fundamental change, to create new opportunities, to restore our economy to inclusive economic growth, to renewal. For this, Africa can and must rely only on itself. Nowadays, no planetary challenge can be made without Africa because it is a demographic force, because it is a land of the future for the economic world, and yes, because it has exceptional potential. It is therefore imperative to study ways and means to reduce our dependence on external resources. Now more than ever, Africa must focus on mobilizing its domestic resources, both public and private sectors, notably by reducing exemptions, increasing taxes, and the participation of its diaspora in its development. We are facing an invisible enemy which makes no distinction between rich or poor, big or small. In the face of this common threat, solidarity, consultation, and cooperation between states is imperative. Faced with this common threat, our capacity to revive our economy depends on the decisions we take today, but it depends above all on the urgency with which we approach it.
Accompanied by the Minister of Decentralization Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, the Minister of Trade Hassan Hamad Ibrahim, the Minister of Health Muhammad Warsama Diriye traveled yesterday to Dakhil to inaugurate the emergency room of the Center Medical Hospital, in addition to the Prefect of the region Aden Darar Musa, the President of Regional Council Abdurrahman Yunis Are. This inaugural ceremony was attended by the head of the International Organization for Migration Offices, Ms. Stephanie Devio, and the representative of the European Union in Djibouti entirely renovated and equipped these new emergency structures of the CMH in Dakhil has benefited from a reinforcement of its reception capacity thanks to the precious help of the International Organization for Migration with the financial support of the European Union. Meeting standards rooms, the entry into the emergency services will contribute to improving the quality of the emergency care provided to the Dakhil population. The President of the Regional Council, Abdurrahman Yunis Are, and the Prefect of the region, Adendrar Musa, welcomed this initiative to inaugurate the new entities for the benefit of the population. The two regional officials welcomed the member of the ministerial delegation. For their part, the International Organization for Migration representative and the European Union representative in Djibouti both expressed the satisfaction of their respective organizations in the efforts of the regional health coverage for a diversification of the offer of care and a better health care of the population in Dakhil. The decentralization minister Hamad Aramis stressed that this series of emergency and operating block development in the government's response to the grievance expressed by the Dakhil population during the presidential tour. For his part, the Minister of Trade Hassan Muhammad Ibrahim recalled Rico said that all these new structures of specialized care that are the emergencies and the operating theater will be of the great use of for the health of our population. In his speech, the Minister of Health, Muhammad Wersama Diri, recalled that improving the quality of care in the regions is part of the objective set by the policy of health decentralization as advocated by the vision of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh. After the emergency, the Minister of Health, Muhammad Warsama Diriye, proceeded to the official inaugurations of the operating block at the Dakhil Medical Hospital Center, which was refurbished and fully equipped with a modern technical platform. The inaugurations of the new operating block took place in the presence of the Minister of Decentralization, Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, the Minister of Trade, Hassan Muhammad Ibrahim, the Prefect of the region, Adan Durar Musa, the President of Regional Council, Abdurrahman Yunis Ari. It should be recalled that this project to renovate the new operating block also stems from the grievance expressed by the Okar population during the recent presidential tour in the region. It should be stressed that the opening of the operating theater is directly in line with the policy of bringing specialized care closer to the population. Moreover, this operating theater is staffed by motivated and qualified staff headed by an experienced gynecologist with a full-time assignment of the CMH in Dakhil. Finally, the Minister of Health and his delegation proceeded to the lay of the foundation stone of a future psychiatric center within the CMH of Dakhil. A strong delegation led by the Minister of Women and Family, Moumina Ahmed Hassan, and the Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Muna Usman Aden, composed of the Vice President of UNFD, Hasna Ahmed Bilid, the Secretary General, as well as parliamentarian, went to the Ali Sabih to hand over a kit for the creations of income-generating activities to the Community Management Committee of Ali Sabih, Asamo, Holhol, and Ali Ade. The delegation, led by the Minister of Women and Family, was received on its arrival in Ali Sabih by the Prefect of the region, Musa Adan Migane. Computer equipment, solar radio, and visibility materials such as waistcoat and badges have also been provided to the Management Committee to encourage their efforts and enable them to serve their community better. At the end of the ceremony for the handing over of the kit, the delegation led by the Minister of Women and Family had a meeting with the women's group of Ali Sabih. The Minister for Women was accompanied on this occasion by the Vice President of UNFD, Hasna Ahmed Bilil, the Secretary General of the UNFD, Fatuma Musa, the Minister of Social Affairs, Muna Usman Aden, as well as a woman parliamentarian from the region, Member of Parliament, Roda Ahmed. At the end of the ceremony, the delegation held talks with the women's group of the region. Discussions focused on several topics, including women's empowerment, access to basic public services for women and families. Upon their arrival on the site, the delegation led by the Minister of Women's Affairs was warmly welcomed by the Asajog Women's Union. In addition, 10 of the most vulnerable women in the region each received funding to create income-generating activity. The Asajog Women's Union expressed their sincere thanks to the head of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh, and the First Lady Khadra Mahmoud Haid, who is working to help improve the living conditions of people in the most deprived areas of the region. The movement of women executive EOGist organized yesterday evening at City Hall an evening of support to the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, for the upcoming presidential election scheduled for April with the head of state is running for. This movement is mainly made up of women executive of the Djiboutian administration, but also the women from civil society, women's associations, all of whom are grateful to the President of the Republic for all the progress made in their favor. The Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Muna Osman Aden, the Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, the Mayor of Djibouti City, Fatuma Awali Usman, parliamentarian, women entrepreneurs, and traders have all honored with their presence at this evening of support for the candidacy of the President of the Republic for the next presidential elections in April.
La mouvance des femmes yogistes est composée de femmes de tout horizon, même si elles sont majoritairement...
The campaign director Ahmed Ali Barre, appointed by the UMP for these presidential elections in April, gave a speech in which he recalls the importance of the Djiboutian women in the political sphere. In the honor of the visit of the general managers of Group Bread, Mr. Olivier Klein, to Djibouti, who had participated in the inaugurations of the headquarters of the bank BCIMR under the high patronage of the President of the Republic, the French ambassador to Djibouti, Arnaud Guillois, organizing this in his honor a big reception at the residence of France. The ceremony was attended by officials including the Minister of Commerce, Hassan Ahmed Ibrahim, the President of the Friendship Group of Djibouti, France, former Prime Minister Dileita Mohamed Dileita, the President of the Secretary General of the Prime Minister Offices, Naguib Abdallah Kamil, the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce President Yusuf Moussa, the Director of the BCMR, and his deputy Abdallah Ibrahim Abdallah, and Djibouti Friends of France and actors of the French community in Djibouti. The French ambassador stressed that the visit of Mr. Olivier Klein, managing director of the group Bread, is proof that this bank is a major player in the services of the relationship between France and Djibouti, which accompanies the major development and decentralization policies led by President Guelleh, a bank which accompanies young entrepreneurs and is at the service of growth and employment in Djibouti, which is a pole of stability in the region. The event of the national competition Olympiade des Métiers continued for the second consecutive day under the huge tent erected on the esplanade of the People's Palace. The trade teams of the various schools of technical education and vocational training continue to prepare their works under the watchful eye of the member of jury in each of the professional files and disciplines. Distinguished visitors continue to flock in yesterday afternoons, and this morning it was first of all the prefect of Ali Sabih region, Musa Adam Migane, who visited the stand and to appreciate the work of the young people of this region and to encourage all the participants. This morning, 6 members of the government made these trips inside the tent behind the minister, the first footsteps of the Minister of National Education Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, the Minister of Budget Abdul Karim Adancher, the Minister of Labor Isman Ibrahim Roble, the Minister of Communication Radwan Abdullahi Bahdun, the Minister of Women and Family Mumina Humel Hassan, the Minister of Housing Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa, who were able to discover all the know-how and skills of young learners in the vocational streams of MENFOP. For the international scene, the launch of the vaccination campaign after Ghana, it is the turn of the Côte d'Ivoire to open its vaccination campaign as part of the COVAX initiative. The official launch took place this Monday at the Trècheville Sports Palace in Abidjan in the presence of the several government ministers. The Secretary General of the government, Patrick Achi, was the first to be vaccinated. He was followed by the 3 other ministers and several nurses, teachers, and law enforcement officers. For this first phase, the vaccination will concern only the autonomous district of the Abidjan, because Abidjan is the epicenter of the epidemic at the country's level, with 95% of positive cases, explained the Minister of Health, Eugene Aka Oele. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.